Is science equal for all? This question may sound awkward at first. According to traditional views of science, it is an objective activity that reflects nature as it is, so only questions like, was the observation accurate? Was the experiment properly designed? Are the calculated results correct? Are considered valid. However, studies that take science as a subject of sociological analysis illuminate the social and cultural aspects of science beyond these traditional perspectives. The establishment of modern science occurred in the 17th century, but sociological research on the scientific community and scientific activities began in earnest only after the mid-20th century. Robert Merton founded the sociology of science to understand the internal order of scientific activities from a sociological perspective. Merton interpreted science as a social institution where specific norms and values are harmonized. He believed that since the 16th century, science has been able to achieve its institutional goal of the expansion of certified knowledge because certain norms existed within the scientific community. The 4 norms proposed by Merton are as follows. Universalism. Scientific knowledge is applied equally to everyone, regardless of race, gender, or social status. This implies that science is not subordinate to the interests of specific individuals or groups but is evaluated according to objective criteria. Communalism. Scientific knowledge is not the property of individuals but a shared asset of the entire scientific community. Therefore, scientists collaborate to make their research results public, allowing knowledge to spread and develop. Disinterestedness. Scientists should conduct research without being influenced by personal interests or biases. This is an important principle for maintaining the objectivity and neutrality of science. Organized skepticism. Science advances through continuous verification and criticism. Scientists critically examine existing knowledge and hypotheses and modify or replace them based on new evidence. These norms reflect the ideal that science inherently aims for an equal and fair system. However, in reality, various inequalities and discriminations exist within the scientific community. Examples include issues of unequal opportunities and access to resources faced by women, racial minorities, and scientists from developing countries. Merton identified prestige as central to the scientific community's reward system. It arises from peer recognition of scientific contributions, which are exchanged within the community to facilitate expert communication. Prestige itself serves as an immediate reward, with research funding and academic status emerging as its byproducts. According to Merton, prestige is not tied to individual attributes such as gender, status, or affiliation, nor is it bound by the egalitarian principle of equal support for all scientists. Instead, it is differentially awarded based solely on the universal criterion of how new and valuable the scientific knowledge is. Peer recognition motivates scientists to produce knowledge that benefits the entire community. However, in terms of scientific productivity and rewards, the scientific community is highly stratified. Classical studies on scientific communities and institutions indicate that around 15% of scientists produce roughly 50% of all published papers. Moreover, 70% of papers in Science Citation Index (SCI) journals are cited only once, while a mere 0.009% are cited more than 100 times. These statistics reveal the stark inequality in the distribution of achievements and rewards within the scientific community. A small group of elite scientists wield significant influence over the allocation of honor and resources. Even Robert Merton, who emphasized the normative order of the scientific community, argued that the Matilda Effect emerges during its stratification process. The term, drawn from the biblical principle, states, "For whoever has will be given more, and they will have abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away." It describes the phenomenon where already renowned scientists gain disproportionate resources and recognition. The rich get richer and poor get poorer phenomenon, understood in the context of the theory of cumulative advantage, explains the stratification within the scientific community. Cumulative advantage occurs when early career successes lead to greater recognition and access to resources, creating a feedback loop that boosts future productivity. For instance, early recognition makes it easier for scientists to secure funding, collaborate on research, and achieve more publications and citations. This cycle amplifies their initial advantages, concentrating prestige and resources in their hands over time. Cumulative advantage is seen in two opposing ways: as an unfair process or as an efficient resource allocation mechanism. Critics argue that minor initial disparities can grow into significant gaps, exacerbating inequality within the scientific community. This suggests that a scientist's career is often shaped more by early favorable conditions and opportunities rather than inherent talent and effort, undermining diversity and equity. Conversely, supporters view cumulative advantage as a reflection of universal values, functioning as a mechanism for efficient resource allocation. Providing more resources to scientists with early achievements, they argue, enhances overall productivity and innovation in the scientific community. The prestige and reward system in the scientific community is determined by both individual achievements and institutional and social factors. To understand this halo effect, we examine Crane's research, Long, Allison, and McGinnis's study, and Rossiter's Matilda Effect. Crane argues that affiliation with a prestigious department at a renowned university provides scientists with greater opportunities for recognition by facilitating access to established academic networks. Long, Allison, and McGinnis found that a candidate's alma mater and advisor have more influence on faculty recruitment than research productivity. Mentorship by a distinguished professor grants access to key research information and collaborative opportunities through their reputation and network. Additionally, students benefit directly and indirectly in areas like research team composition, dissemination of findings, and post-training employment. The science historian Margaret Rossiter coined the term Matilda Effect to explain how gender influences the stratification of the scientific community. The Matilda Effect refers to the historical tendency to overlook or fail to recognize women's contributions, often excluding them from historical records. This highlights the negative side of cumulative advantage. For instance, Rosalind Franklin's crucial work on the molecular structure of DNA was downplayed by Nobel laureates Watson and Crick. Similarly, Austrian physicist Lise Meitner, who was instrumental in discovering and explaining nuclear fission, was excluded from the 1944 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, which went solely to her colleague Otto Hahn. Institutional affiliation, alma mater, advisor, gender, and biases in the peer review process are key factors influencing scientific achievements. An experiment by a psychology department at a prestigious U.S. university revealed that when author names and affiliations of published papers were altered and resubmitted to the same journals, most were rejected for serious methodological flaws. This indicates that in peer review, an author's reputation and institutional affiliation often outweigh the paper's content. These empirical studies suggest that rewards and stratification in the scientific community are influenced by social factors beyond the production of new scientific knowledge. Research in the institutional sociology of science demonstrates that science is not merely an objective knowledge system but a product of social activity. This underscores the need for transparency and equity in knowledge production and calls for dismantling glass ceilings imposed by gender and race within the scientific community. The recognition that scientific knowledge production must be fair and equitable presupposes that science, as part of human activity, arises from social, cultural, and personal contexts and should be understood as situated knowledge within these contexts. It also acknowledges that producing scientific knowledge reflects the diverse cultures, values, and personal backgrounds of scientists. For example, women scientists from the Global South and white male scientists from the West conduct research within different contexts, and their varied perspectives enrich the diversity of scientific outcomes. In modern society, science is deeply embedded in daily life. While some benefit greatly from scientific advancements, others face unintended consequences. Rooted in a diverse community of scientists, science integrates multiple perspectives, inviting broader interpretations and distinct voices. This diversity enables science to meaningfully contribute to a more equitable society.